Not this time, Mark.
The thing is crazy. The kids just pulled up right then. I'm like, oh no, not again. Hey, stop, boy. Hey, Paul, how's it going?
I'm doing well. I'm like, it's 2 times in a row, but you know what? I'm not going to bring him in until he sits
Yeah,
in his chair.
yeah. As soon as I saw the live button, I heard a car door. I'm like, oh, there's the kids. Let me get the door.
We are back with another episode of DC Comics Dark Crisis Deep Dive. This
Yes,
time it
sir.
is World Without a Justice League Green Arrow. Mark and I will get to it right after this. Very good use of 18 seconds, I have to
Thank you
say.
so much. Every time I drop out, I take off. I'm moving though. I'm moving.
Welcome back to DC Comics Deep Dive, Dark Crisis Deep Dive.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm Paul. He is
Soon,
Mark.
soon to be branded as DC Comics Deep Dive because I don't see
Correct.
this ending. I don't see it ending.
Me either. Me either. Me either. No, no way. There's too many good things that
Too
DC's
much stuff
doing.
happening.
So, but before we go any further, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the notification button so you're alerted whenever we upload new content. And don't forget to leave a comment because we are having one massive giveaway at the end of all this. It'll be a live show, but we have a massive giveaway of basically the entire Dark Crisis story. And I don't mean just Dark Crisis proper. I mean every single tie-in, every single special, every single one shot, maybe even foil or two, maybe even some second prints, maybe even some B covers. Who knows? We got lots of stuff that we got
And I've got the collected volume of the original Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths because it's goes with it.
exactly. It all ties in exactly. So,
And I do
and
want
I
to
am
point out that real quick, the more y'all comment, if you miss some of these videos, go back, hit the thumbs up, comment on them. The more that you have comments on, the better are your chances at winning. Because as of now, we don't know which video the winning comment will be pulled from. So spread your chances out.
correct. And I want to say one other thing too. And just because I know this goes out on Monday, just as a kind of a shout out to Mark, don't forget this coming Friday, we have Comics Curing Cancer, C3. It starts at 7 a.m., Mark, on your channel, I believe, right?
7:30 a.m. on my channel, the Comics Curing Advancer second annual charity fundraiser is officially recognized by the American Cancer Society. So this isn't an independent event; it is an official event. So everybody, come out, come support it. Let's try to do what we can to fight cancer. It's going to be running from starting on my channel Sunday morning all through the weekend and ending on Mr. Rob's Fat Stacks channel with a big auction. There's going to be crazy stuff all throughout the weekend. It's going to be going channel from channel. We will have playlists that can guide you. You can go hit up the video description on any of my videos in the coming this week moving forward, starting today as well. I've got absolutely packed video descriptions where all the information, links, and everything are all in there, so you don't have to wonder or search. But it's going to be a great time. We have tons of big artists and actual community members, professionals from the industry, just so much stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, obviously, we talked about DC Crisis, and Dark Crisis or whatever, but there are things that are more important than that, and so we want to make sure that we basically body slam cancer.
That
Um,
I was going to save it for you to say.
I knew you were. I took I took the peddling Pete way out.
Yeah,
We're gonna throw cancer over the top rope.
over the top rope.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to it. This
Woo!
week it is Dark Crisis, Green Arrow, and Black Canary. This was I don't want to say surprisingly good because I always think that these are going to be good, but it was really really
Yeah,
good.
it hit all the right notes. Like we've had one hiccup along these Worlds Without a Justice League one shots, and this one was kind of the polar opposite. It hit exactly the right notes. The theme, the tone, the attention to detail of the characters that they were working with. I'm really excited to talk about this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So we start out with the Green Arrow. There is a narrator who is going to take us through the entire thing, and he basically tells us right at the beginning, this is a love story. Okay,
Yes.
so he takes us right from the very first line. We start in what is what you would think. would be one of Green Arrow's, probably ideal worlds, kind of like
Mhm. A Robin Hood.
Nottingham, Sherwood Forest type
Yeah,
world, right?
yeah, the
Where
Dark Archer with the
Green
sheriff. Yeah, it was perfect.
Exactly. Where Green Arrow is kind of playing the Robin Hood type thing, but he has all of his wards or people that have his
Sidekicks,
sidekicks with him.
Ward,
Yeah, he has Harper, he has
Connor.
Mia, he has his son Connor. He has basically all of them helping him. None of them seem to have any problems. It is recognized that Harper had some trouble in his past, but he's good now. Of course, that would all be behind them in Ollie's perfect world, and they're
Yeah, that was
basically
pretty
fighting
cool.
Merlin.
They gave us little 3 panels with each of them kind of. It was a cool little panel layout. It was like one little widescreen panel that was segmented, so they each had a little focal point in their little attack, and they kind of explained who these characters were if you hadn't ever experienced them, or it was a big Easter egg if you had. And I love how they did that with uh, Roy Harper. He is one of your troubled past, carrying his scars on the inside and out. Mia, her gifts of exuberance and unerring aim, and Connor, said by some to be our hero's son, blessed with all the skills of his sire. Like it was like perfect. Hit the little
Yep,
notes and kept on pushing.
exactly. And so they're fighting Merlin, who is the bad guy in this particular story. Hmm?
The sheriff.
Yeah, the sheriff. Um, the sheriff of Nottingham, and basically they defeat him. They keep him from basically robbing from the poor. And basically he runs into the forest, and Ollie goes after him. And so Ollie runs after him, and just as he is about to catch him, he finds that he has come to the end of this forest. It is just all mist, and now he is staring basically at what can probably only be described as probably Star City,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is, so he's running from a medieval forest into a modern day city. And he's like, I don't know where I am. I don't know what's going on.
And he
And
immediately
so,
gets attacked.
exactly.
Like he's
By
the
who?
bad guy. A foot flies at him, and it's none other than Black Canary herself, who's attempting to fight. Like she's definitely the aggressor. And the whole time it was cool because he was smitten through the fight. He's defending himself, not attacking back, and he's absolutely hitting on her. Like he is smitten.
Mhm.
Like they promise, it's a love story, and they
Right,
brings them to a halt.
right. And so as they're then talking about it, and they both acknowledge that they both have this feeling towards each other that they don't really understand. And suddenly, um,
Our
from
narrator
nowhere,
appears.
what's that?
That's kind of an important point to hit is
Yeah,
when
go
they
ahead. Yep.
stop fighting and they start traveling together to kind of understand what's happening, how he could be there, kind of thing. Our narrator appears from the back and makes a comment. Queen has discovered his queen, or perhaps been reunited with her. And you have a cloaked figure with like a mandolin in his hand, who is our narrator, appeared behind them. So it was pretty cool. Like that, they kind of point out that he's discovered her or been reunited with her. That plays into what happens later.
Right. Um, Go ahead. Going to keep going.
Okay, but so he narrates a little bit more. Like it's cool getting to see our narrator and kind of gives us the wonder. I assume immediately from seeing him, this must be Pariah, who we've seen only one other time standing in one of these worlds, watching the worlds. So he kind of narrates. So they go arm in arm together, but all is not well in their kingdom as a new player emerges and his mission begins. And through this crack in the ground, we see an archer come out. We don't see who it is. He looks beef. He looks like he has like some ragtag stuff going on, like the quiver that his bow is in. You can tell it's made out of like animal pelts the way it's sewn together. And then we move on. They leave us with that, and Black Canary takes Oliver back to her bar to try to talk and make sense of everything going on. And they kind of swooze over each other and everything, and they get to the moment where they're already about to have their first kiss when the wall explodes.
Mhm. Right. And through the wall comes this figure that emerged earlier. And it, basically says kill the queen. And Ollie looks at him and says, well, Diana says, is it a friend of yours? And he says, I'd say more than a friend. I think it's me. And so we end up learning that it is Ollie just
Who
come back
never
from
left
the
the
island.
island. Yes, Ollie had he never left the island.
Right. Exactly. And
Crazy.
so
He's a psycho.
yeah, exactly. And so they start. So then they start battling basically amongst themselves. The Ollie from the island is trying to kill the Ollie from this universe, um, and he ends up basically stabbing. The Ollie from this universe ends up getting stabbed by the Ollie from
Island boy. Whoa.
from the island. And before you know it, they're still fighting, and he's trying to deliver a death blow. And what happens is Dinah picks up the bow and arrow and shoots one of
Oliver.
his exploding. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was
But
some cool panel work right there. You just see him about to get stabbed, and then someone yell Oliver, and you see him turn and look, and she just says duck and just
right,
lets it fly. That was a cool panel.
yep,
The way that you see her release it, it go over his head, and oh man, it was a devastating blow to Island Boy Ollie. He just pops like his.
exactly. And she knew, and and Ollie says, "Oh, you found one of my exploding arrows," which I would have loved to have been a boxing glove arrow. That would have been so cool.
Yeah, that'd been cool.
So then they start talking and everything, and they basically end up kissing at the end. And in the very last panel, we see our narrator has been. He basically takes off his hood, and it is another
It
version
is
of Ollie.
yeah, it's another Ollie. But before that, the last panel of our two starstruck
Right.
lovers here when they were talking, uh, Ollie makes a comment to Dinah. He says that it doesn't matter because there's not a world where we don't belong together, pretty bird. So like it's kind of leaning into what the overall theme of this is by the end of it, which I think was like the coolest part.
Mhm.
We'll get into that, but for whatever reason, we have numerous Ollies. We already at this point have three Ollies, and our narrator is not malicious. He was just watching them find each other again, as he insinuated.
Right. Um, so then we jump because we want to jump to the second story too, because this is the first time that the two stories have kind of both overlapped
Yeah, they
and
go
been
together for once.
yeah and been together. So
So it was cool. Normally, you have like Superman with a backup story of
right,
whoever. This one, you have Green Arrow and Black Canary with a backup story of Black Canary and Green Arrow. Like
right,
they were smart with how they did this one.
right, and it starts basically going back to Justice League 75, right, the death of the Justice League, where Ollie and Black Canary are both dying, and what happens is Pariah has basically had two new universes, and ended up having they're both two doomed worlds, but we have two new characters, a new Black Canary and a new Green Arrow.
And it's important to point this out as well. So it goes back to the Battle of the Dark Army in Justice League 75. In that event, Oliver Queen was the only character to not get dusted by Pariah. He got killed by Doomsday. So we actually get the answer to how is he back? If everyone else got put on these worlds and they weren't killed in the traditional sense, we saw Ollie get thrashed by Doomsday. So they kind of show us here that the man wasn't dead. He was laying there dying. He was definitely dying. There was no coming back. But Pariah intervened and got him to place him on these worlds. That's why Oliver Queen is not just straight dead from Doomsday.
Right,
That was a cool catch. There's no plot hole in the Dark
right.
Crisis thing because of that.
Yeah, that definitely is. That's an excellent point. Um, uh, and so we have the new Black Canary and the new Green Arrow from Earth Black Canary 1 and Earth Green Arrow 1, and basically we're talking now on in this we have basically Black Canary is talking to Oracle, um, and we have Green Arrow who has a John Diggle
Mm-hmm.
in this universe, and he realizes that there is a Black Canary out there for him in on a different world in a
Yeah,
different
he's been
universe.
dreaming about her.
Right.
Oliver is on this world by himself, where he has these dreams of this woman, and he has used his tech. As you see, these are high techy kind of worlds to search the whole planet with face recognition software. She doesn't exist on this planet, but he knows she exists out there, and he has searched now the multiverse to find her.
Right. And so he created this rocket that he understands is gonna take him to this universe. And John Deagle says, why did you make it an arrow rocket? And he basically says because good branding is always important.
Yeah, I really thought of Rob's fat sacks when I read that. Rob would be proud of Green Arrow.
Exactly. Exactly. And so he takes off in this rocket, and so he ends up in Black Canary's universe, which is the universe that we saw at the end, or that Ollie ends up going to in the first story. And so he meets up with Black Canary, and they end up. We see this page where Pariah is looking over the Black Canary and the Green Arrow, and he sees multiple Black Canaries and multiple Green Arrows below him. It was a great page. Um,
So
and so
what
he's running.
Pariah unfortunately found out is no matter what he does, when he creates these worlds, he puts Oliver in a world, he puts Dinah in a world, and neither one of them are staying put in those worlds. They're finding each other despite
Mhm,
being in those worlds because these are paradise worlds,
right.
perfect worlds for these characters. These neither one of these characters will ever be in paradise without the other one.
Correct.
So Pariah has had to come to that conclusion. He's noticing that he keeps coming up with all these other ones. There's so many copies of him because he can't get them to stay put, basically.
Mhm,
And what I
right.
think was cool is at the end of this, we get dead Ollie. We get dead Ollie floating in space, where
Mhm,
Pariah is trying to kind of hold him up as like blackmail against Dinah. So we are now like between the lines, behind the curtain. For the first time, Dinah sees what's happening. She realizes like she's outmatched, out of control. She sees what Pariah is doing, and she tells him like, you can keep doing this and we're going to keep messing it up, or you can put us together.
mhm,
I'm
right.
like, wow.
Right. Exactly. And to me, when I read this, well, we'll get to the end. So they end up finding each other again, and they end up that Pariah admits that there's a special bond that requires a special person, um, a, a, a cage made of true love. So we put them into another cage basically,
And
and
finally
this
put
is
them
the
on a
exact
world
end.
together. Yeah.
Exactly. This is the end of where the Green Arrow story ended in the issue. So the thing that I was really impressed with, and it came through obviously multiple times in this issue, is we talked about how these worlds were made, right, and they were running on hope, and Pariah was basically harnessing the hope, right. Here, it's a very clear statement that there's one thing that's more powerful than hope, and that's
Love.
love.
Yeah. That was just awesome. And I like how it got meta inside of its own little right with like getting to see behind Pariah's getting to see him actually have to like work on building these things. It wasn't like poof, everything's great. Pariah got what he wanted. He actually had to sit there and barter with Black Canary. These
Mhm.
two are it's kind of like if you put, I guess if you put Clark and Lois on a separate one, like there's going to be, or Clark and John even, like there's going to be
Right.
some problems, and he was facing those problems with the bond that these two had. Neither one of them were content without the other. It was a super cool, and I like the fact that they addressed Ollie being alive and having returned into the universe proper in that last issue. Because I was wondering, I'm like, dude, why is he here? Wasn't he? He was smashed by Doomsday. Like he
Right.
wrecked him. But I'm glad they addressed that. Tied up all the plot holes. Strong story. It was
Mhm.
action packed. The artwork was stellar. It was just great.
Yeah, and so we have one more to go. We have the Batman one, which comes up next month. We're getting to the end of these. It is. I'm so excited whenever we end up with these things. But we also have. Don't forget, this week we have Flashpoint Beyond. The final issue of that is coming out this week as well. So it'll be interesting to see again how the end of that ties into everything that we're talking about here.
Yeah, and that Jeff Johns, what are they called? The little video conferences. That conference that the LCS were able to log into with Jeff
Yep.
Johns, he spoke heavily on if you're a JSA fan and you haven't been reading this series, you might want to pick up this issue. He's got the Golden Arrow one shot, the Stargirl, and the JSA books coming. He said, if you are looking forward to picking those up, you might want to pick up this issue. So that's really cool. I wasn't expecting that. And if they don't pull Dr. Manhattan out real soon, I'm going to be super bummed out with all the teasing that they've done. We've seen him. We've
Mhm.
seen him at this point. But
Yeah. Yeah, I really think that in a lot of ways, DC is firing on all cylinders in a lot of their
dude,
books.
this is
So,
their year.
um, yeah, absolutely. And then with the movie coming out this week too, so which has a JSA in it. Oh my God, it's going to be JSA overload, and I for one don't care. Give me as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, I feel like we're owed it at this point.
Exactly.
Y'all got some back pay. Definitely looking forward to it.
Yep. So that's going to do it for this episode of DC Dark Crisis Deep Dive. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification button, leave a comment because we got a huge giveaway coming up, as we said. I am Paul, but he is
Mark, but we are.
Legion.
And you're now leaving Sector 2815.